Welcome to another episode of the Pet Prana podcast. I'm Alex Bloom. I am a pet parent, a pet enthusiast, and on the way to the studio, I walked by a bed of petunias. And I am here with the owner of Pet Prana, the wonderful Denise Mange. Hello, Denise. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm loving that you're stopping to smell the flowers.
Yes, you got to stop and smell the petunias. Isn't that the expression?
I think so. Now it is.
Roses are not the most fragrant flower.
Really?
I mean, not in my experience, and they have thorns. Pet Prana. So, Denise, what is going on in Pet Prana?
We actually had something really cool happen. There was one couple who came in with a dog, and it was a big dog, so they had been using a prong collar.
And what is a prong collar?
So a prong collar is the one that has the little pokey things, and if the dog pulls, it kind of pokes into their neck, causing a little discomfort. The idea is it discourages them from pulling. So this is a tool that, a lot of trainers recommend to their pet parents. I specialize in positive reinforcement, which is all about rewarding better behaviors and decisions. So I tend to stay away from tools like that. So this past week, I was so excited. We had 3, 1-hour sessions together, and they walked in, and the dog did not have the prong collar on. They took it off, and they had built that foundation for communication and understanding each other, so they felt that they were able to redirect their dog rather than having to rely on these physical poking collars and the choke chains. So I found that super rewarding.
I'm sure. I mean, that you deserve at least 3 treats for that. I mean, that's great. That's great. And that's the type of difference a positive reinforcement training can make.
And once they build their confidence in a little bit of the techniques and, the shifts that it can create, then, they want to get rid of that too. They don't enjoy it.
No. I mean, I once knew someone who wore a shock collar and really enjoyed it, but that's for my other podcast.
Pet Prana After Dark.
Yeah, things get salacious. Yeah, I mean, look, there's nothing better than having that kind of trust, and with your dog especially, you want to get to the point even where the pulling and the leash, maybe sometimes you can even let the dog off in parks or spaces that are safe.
Yeah.
And then, of course, what comes up is, if your dog is trained, that you call your dog's name and they come back to you.
That's right.
So, I want to talk a little bit about names for dogs. This is a big deal. You name your dog, and you're going to be saying that name over and over and over again for the entire lifespan of your dog. And
it's a big responsibility.
One thing I've noticed that I don't like, in addition to the prong collar, is when people name their dogs names that are very specifically for human, like Dennis. I met a dog the other day, and that's not acceptable. Dennis?
I kind of like it.
That's ridiculous. Dennis, I had a doorman once named Dennis. That's fine. Dennis, doorman is cool. Dennis the Menace.
Dennis the Menace.
Also,
classic.
Dennis is not a good name for a dog. Alex, my name.
Do you feel competitive when it's named Alex?
When the dog is named Alex?
Yeah.
Alex is a man's name, clearly.
Oh.
I don't know.
Hashtag empowerment.
Hashtag. Now that's a good name for a dog.
That actually really is.
Yeah.
Hashtag come here. Hashtag touch.
Hashtag, yeah. Everything is a hashtag.
Hashtag look. I like that.
Yeah. Hashtag sit.
And then it could be like the artist formerly known as Prince. There's no spelling of the name. It's just the symbol.
Yeah. And then every time you're telling the dog to do something, you're creating a new potential meme.
Wow. That's amazing.
Right. Hashtag get off the bed.
So much social media growth.
Right.
I love it.
Totally.
Trending.
All right. Well, we were talking about names, and Denise, you have kind of a wonderful way of infusing Pet Prana philosophy into the naming of your animal companion.
Yeah. So when I started building my business in New York City, I realized a pattern. I started realizing that a lot of the dogs with similar names were having similar behavioral issues that I was being called in to address. So I think it was Leo, really, that started that spark in me. And I realized, wow, so many Leos have separation anxiety. What's up with that? And I pulled the numerology behind their name, and lo and behold, they were the numerology of a 5 pretty consistently.
So how do you determine that Leo adds up to 5?
So every letter in an animal's name or a human's name carries a unique vibration, and it's assigned a number. So depending on its place within the alphabet, it gets that number. So A is the first letter in the alphabet, it's a 1. B is the second letter in the alphabet, it gets a 2. M is the 13th letter in the alphabet, 1 plus 3 is 4. You always boil it down to a single digit. So numerology carries the numbers 1 through 9, and each number has its own traits and temperament, and it's almost like a character, which makes it pretty cool. And I love it for animal companions because it helps me understand their tendencies and their motivations. For example, if an animal companion carries a 4 vibration, they tend to like order, stability, routine. So I know that as we're working with them, we want to give them really strict protocol. And then they feel safe, they feel secure, they enjoy that. If we're working with an animal that has a 5 vibration,
like Leo,
they are more adventurous, right? They have an adventurous spirit. They like to experience a lot of things. So I do experiential training with them. So a lot of finding treats within a box or using, puzzle toys to feed them their meal. Taking them to new places just to be out and about and look around. They don't do as well with orderly, structured schedules. They kind of want to be along for the ride with you.
Okay, so my dog is in the studio. She's in the house.
Hey, Penny.
I don't know where she is right now. She's somewhere
around
she went
here.
Into the
through the curtains.
She went into the back room. She's behind the curtain. Okay, so my dog's name is Penny Lane.
How did you name her?
Well, she had, she's a half poodle, half terrier, and she had kind of a copper stripe down her back, and she was lucky, and that's how the name Penny came around, Penny Lane. And then, after the song.
Was that her original name, or did she have a shelter name?
No, she had another name, and that name was Heidi, which I don't think was good. That's up there with Dennis.
Isn't it funny when you look at a dog and you're just like, that's not your name?
Right. She's not a Heidi.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's, Heidi reminds me of a Swiss... blonde girl who has a grandfather. Isn't that the story of Heidi?
Yeah, I think so, with the braids. Or is that Pippi Longstocking?
No, Pippi Longstocking is the braids.
Yeah.
And Heidi was with the long blonde hair. You can hear Penny scratching on the rug. So we're going to do Penny's numerology, right?
Yeah, so I pulled her numerology. And so based on the vibration of her name, and it's worth mentioning that every name carries a unique vibration. And we connect with these names because they're our soul's vibration. Before we even, become embodied or Penny even came into your life, there was an agreement to have these names. That's why so many times when you're thinking up a name, when you hear one, you're like, yes, that's it. It's that intuitive hit of like, that's exactly the vibration of that soul.
I mean, I gotta say, it does make sense. Like when the name hits you, it does hit you for no real reason.
And it's like there's no other name it could be, right? You can't picture anything else but a Penny.
Totally.
And so when I pull the vibration of her name, this is really cool because she carries the vibration of a master number. So in numerology, there's numbers 1 through 9. And like we mentioned, they each have their theme and their tendencies and their, personas. But then we have the master numbers. That's if we see 11, 22, and 33. Those carry master number vibrations. And basically, master numbers mean that she has an opportunity to vibrate at a higher level, right? To complete her karmic lessons here and kind of reach that nirvana, that enlightenment.
But I'm confused because you said that they're only single digits and then you just named off 3 double digits. So how do you reconcile this?
With any name, you're going to add up the single numbers. So for Penny, for example, P is a 7, E is a 5, N is a 5, N is a 5, and Y is 7. So that all adds up to 29. And if you do 9 plus 2, that's 11. The idea is you keep adding them together to simplify it. Then 1 plus 1 is 2.
It is.
Theoretically.
No, in reality, 1 plus 1 is 2.
Well, theoretically, because master numbers, we never boil down. So if it's 11, 22, or 33, they stay. They stay double. It's almost like a fraction. 11 over 2. 2 is the master number. 22 over 4 would be another master number. 33 over 6 would be another.
So the denominator comes from the adding up of the top one.
Correct.
Which I can't remember what that was called.
Numerator.
Numerator.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow, that just came
numerator and
to me.
denominator. So 11, 2, 1 plus
2.
1 is 2.
Right.
2 goes underneath, 11 on top.
And the reason why we keep the fraction is because any master number comes with a choice. So you can either stay within the lessons of 2, which is the quote unquote lower vibration, or you can get through that karma and then vibrate at a higher level, which is 11.
Okay, so what does 11 mean? 11-2.
So 11-2 is an inspirational teacher, right? And so what's so beautiful about them is 11-2s tend to be incredibly intuitive. They love their people. They're incredibly loyal. You know, they're incredibly wise as well and tend to have been with you in a past life.
I thought she looked familiar.
Right?
Yeah.
She jumped out at you at the shelter. Number 2s, because they are so naturally tuned into their pack, they can be hypersensitive to like pick up on energy in the environment.
Yes.
And also food additives. So she might have a sensitive tummy.
Very. In fact, she has to eat something of a dog food that is exactly designed for sensitive stomach. Wow.
Interesting.
This isn't nonsense.
And then she also, 11-2s tend not to do very well with chaos and clutter.
Yeah, correct. That is very true.
So that's Penny. And what's really interesting about her name is P is a 7, E-N-N, those are 5, 5, 5, Y is a 7. So within her 11-2 vibration, she carries the vibrations of 7 and 5 very strongly.
And she's backward and forward the same thing.
Exactly. So she's incredibly balanced. And 7 is the number of like the philosopher king of the pet world, right? They're very intellectual. They're thinking about, you know, spiritual law and, you know, the energetic aspect of everything.
What's his name, the philosopher king?
Plato came up with the theory. There was no name.
Oh,
in the cave
I thought you
allegory.
meant literally there was some kind of like philosopher dog king.
I think it's Penny, given her numbers.
75557.
Right? It's like that song, Jenny.
Yeah. Penny 755575575.
And then the 5 within her name carries the vibration of a lot of sensitivity. So she picks up on a lot of emotion in other people's experiences. So she's almost like a little empath. She's a little sponge.
Folks, I tell you, I mean, you have no way of knowing this. I have no way of proving it, but that could not be more accurate a description of the dog Penny.
And then get this.
Yes.
So then when we look at Penny Lane, right, the combination, it carries the vibration of 7. So she still has that philosopher king, that very spiritual aura about her.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. It really is. She's very philosophical. In fact, the other day we were talking about whether or not man is born free or born a slave.
I'd listen to her.
Yeah, she's more of a Calvinist, you know.
There you go. And so if you had kept the name Heidi.
Right, which no.
Good Lord, it is not this dog. Right? It just
okay,
feels
so what's the
wrong.
difference?
So Heidi carries the vibration of 8. 8 is the beautiful leader. It's characterized by the lion, right? So it's like courageous. It wants to be the leader of the pack. It's strong-minded. It has a strong guarding instinct. So, you know, even though it just doesn't feel like her, she's so sweet. She's a gentle energy.
Yes.
Heidi just doesn't match.
No, it doesn't. That's not her. She's definitely a Penny and not a Heidi. And 8 isn't even a master number.
You know, she was calling in that master
Who has
number
time for
energy.
that? The point is, folks, you want to name your dog 11, 22, or 33. Other than that, you're wasting your time.
Well, the cool thing also is she's going to teach you to sit back and be more pensive and thoughtful, which you are. So I think she kind of joins you in on that mission, and she's going to help you experience life more deeply. So dive into those emotions more deeply. She might even bring some of those up for you, a range of emotions that if you hadn't had her in your life, you might not have experienced.
So true.
Stop it.
No,
Get a hold of
it's
yourself.
it's true. I mean, that is true.
So your name, you carry the vibration of 9, which is the old soul compassionate. It's kind of that humanitarian. You have like this culmination of like all these past lives, a lot of wisdom, and you're here to see a bigger perspective. It's a beacon number. It's a number that kind of creates art and creates beauty as a way to inspire others, which is very cool. That is
what I do.
That is what you do. I kind of don't even want to give you a big head.
My head is already literally very large, which now maybe that's also because of numerology.
There you go.
Or all
and
my past lives.
All those past lives. And then your last name carries the vibration of 3, which is the creative number. Mm-hmm. So you need to, in order to feel fulfilled, be expressive. Express, emotions from inside, put them out, creative endeavors like writing, blogging, artwork. Those are all really great avenues for people who have 3 in their name.
Well, it really is interesting because the characteristics of Penny Lane, Alex, and Alex Bloom are all dead on. I mean, they're right on. And the Heidi was not. I mean, she's not a leader. She wants to be next to you, not in front of you. And of course, I mean, at this point, wouldn't want to be next to me? I'm a 9. So how does my name and my number, Penny's name and her number, how do they go together?
So the beauty of that is I compare numbers and I see where you have similar numbers and where you're missing each other's numbers. And the beauty between you and Penny is you guys complement each other perfectly. Neither of you have the same number or vibration in your name. So she's the yin to your yang. Whereas you have, some grounded energy, a lot of that, self-expression and a lot of that caregiving. She has a lot of that, thinking and experiencing. So she's helping bringing more of that into your life.
Yes, because she's an 11 too.
She's an 11 too, the master number. So it's not every pet that has the master number in it. She's really here as an inspiration, as a teacher, and to raise the vibration for herself and those around her.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like it. Now it's time for a segment on our show. This is my favorite segment of the show. And it's probably lots of people's favorite segments because it's the one where I do the least amount of talking. It's called Digging It. And on Digging It, we find out what in the pet world Denise is digging this episode. So Denise, what are you digging?
So as we're talking about different motivations and tendencies that a name can reveal, we know that there are a lot of pets out there who have the tendency to pull on leash. So if that's the case, rather than using methods like a prong collar, we have the option of some fantastic harnesses out there. One of my favorite harnesses is called the Freedom No Pull Harness, and it attaches to the leash at the sternum and also on the back for a really great secure fit on your animal companion. It also has velour under the arms, so if your dog has sensitive skin, that actually helps a lot. I have a lot of pups who get cut by harnesses.
Yes, Penny.
Right.
Even though she's an 11 too, she would get very irritated.
No, because she's an 11 too.
Right,
she's
sensitivity,
sensitive.
yes. Yeah. And what was this particular harness called again?
It's called the Freedom No Pull Harness.
Wow.
And it comes in various colors. It attaches to the leash at the sternum as well as the back, as I mentioned. And the reason for that is if your dog pulls on leash, if you attach the leash to their back, we're creating an opposition force. When they push forward, they're going to feel me kind of standing my ground and pushing back. That's how we get sled dogs to go. We pull them back so hard that they want to go forward. Mm-hmm. So when you have a leash that attaches to the harness at the sternum, if they try to pull forward and I stand my ground, they're just getting turned right back to me for direction. Mm-hmm. So of course, in conjunction with traditional training, using a harness like this does really help with tendencies and motivations like pulling.
The Freedom No Pull Harness.
That's right.
And where can I get this?
Amazon or call your local pet store, because we always love to support the local shops.
Denise, actually, what is your number?
So my destiny number calculated from my name is actually a 7. So I also share that philosopher king kind of, searching for the meaning in the universe and the energetic aspect of life. So, I'm kind of fulfilling my life purpose in that. And then if you look just at my name, my first name carries an 11-2 vibration, which is kind of cool.
Oh, of course. So, okay. Now we know why an 11-2 is special. Uh-huh.
It was a coincidence.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
But 11-2s tend to be teachers as well. And they learn from experience, and then they pass on the learnings. And it's interesting because within my name, I have N and I next to each other, which in my experience means incredibly stubborn. So if you have an animal companion and they have an N and an I, like a Dennis that you keep talking about, very stubborn tendencies.
Yeah, stubborn, so stubborn that they won't change their name.
So I could go on forever, but ultimately I'm a 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Pet Prana. I am Alex Bloom.
And I'm Denise Mange. And until we meet again, happy training.